Namaskar. So, soaring sessions on Saturday. Saturday soaring sessions. This week we're talking about self-care. What is it? Now, there are a lot of people who talk about different things about self-care. But what does it actually mean, self-care? What does it mean to take care of yourself? Well, caring for ourselves is required. All of the great teachers have said to take care of our body temple, to maintain it, to love ourself. Not just our spiritual self, not just our mental self or emotional self, but ourself. Our body temple. And all of them have said it is the temple. So how do we do that? Well, I know that some people say, well, I took a self-care day today. I took a long hot bath and all I ate was comfort food. What's your comfort food? Is it food that makes your body feel comfortable? Or is it food that makes you emotionally comfortable? Because a lot of what we call comfortable isn't really healthy. In fact, a lot of what people use for comfort food isn't healthy at all. Makes you feel good in the moment, but what does it do to the body? So, self-care, caring for yourself. A lot of people are taught God, country, others, or self. But that's not what the Nazarene taught. The Nazarene taught God, self, and others. How can you love someone else if you haven't filled your own cup? How can you care for someone else if you haven't cared for yourself? That's a big question. So, bathing is important, and not just because we smell bad. Yes, we need the bacteria that is on our body. All the different ones. There are even bacteria, what we call inside our body, which technically, if you look at the body as a donut, the bacteria is the glaze on the donut. And it's important. But we have to slough off the dead skin, and we have to slough off the dirt of the day. So yes, that's self-care. And it's very important. Now maybe you bathe only every few days, but making sure that particular areas are clean. Hey, that's okay. Not only are you saving water, but you're making sure you're clean and you're making sure your body's healthy, because a lot of the soaps, especially in modern societies, are harsh and actually destructive. Washing our dishes. Now, how can washing the dishes properly be self-care? Well, think about the bacteria you need. Think about the bacteria you don't need. When you can fix food and you put it on clean plates or clean bowls and you use clean tableware and clean cups, it's important. That prevents disease within the body. If you haven't properly cleaned, then you haven't properly cared for yourself. And I've seen something that all my life, and it's always taking the dish rag after you've washed everything out of the dirty dishwater and wiping down the kitchen. If you do that, please get another dish rag, spray things down with vinegar and water, because that vinegar is going to kill most of the bacteria. I don't suggest using bleach unless it's absolutely necessary, because that kills some of the bacteria you don't want to kill. And not only that, but inhaling it kills the bacteria in you that you don't want. Washing our clothes is another way of showing we care. And washing our clothes regularly. I'll tell you, when I was young, children always want to wear the same things, and I get it. My mom would take my camouflage clothes and wash them, and then they were so stiff. and I'd have to wear them for 3 days just to get them comfortable. Nowadays, I've learned how to do my own laundry, and I'm not promoting any particular brand, but I've found that using distilled white vinegar and Dawn dishwashing soap as my washing detergent not only cleans my clothes, it gets out blood amazingly, and when I throw it in a dryer, things come out soft, and they last longer. Making healthy food choices. I happen to be predominantly vegan. I do eat some cheese occasionally. Recently I had some sour cream and some dip I bought. But I work to stay away from animal products, not just because of the unkindness to the animals, but because I don't need those. We're the only creatures on the face of the planet that drink milk past infancy. And it's not necessarily that healthy because there are other sources of calcium. So caring for yourself also means caring about the food you're putting in. And I'll tell you, some of the food stuff that's out there isn't food. It has caloric intake. It started off as food, but by the time it gets through with all of the chemicals that are put into it, man-made chemicals, I should say, it's not food. It's not nourishing. It's just calories. And if you only look at food as calories, there's much more to it than that. Exercise. Now, people talk about exercise and they think, oh, I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to start and I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my gains. Start light. Start light. Get your body used to moving weights regularly. Then start adding weight. I'd give it about 2, maybe 3 months of about moving up from 10 to 15 to 20 pounds. Get in the reps. Then start adding it at 10-pound intervals and sooner intervals. That way you're not destroying your body. You're building your body. Yes, we have to tear the muscle apart in order for it to grow back. But if we tear it up too much, then it causes us problems. And one of the major things that bodybuilders will tell you is that they always have to worry about colds because they're breaking down their immune system by breaking down their body. And I myself have experienced this when I was maintaining a fighting weight of 200 plus pounds. Colds were easy to get. So make sure you're starting comfortably, building with repetition, and then start building up with weight. Care for yourself. Don't, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be massive. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable, but make sure you're working at a comfortable level and increasing that level regularly without destroying yourself. I really do suggest yoga asanas and be gentle. Some of the asanas I'm working on, I've been working for years and am still not there. The one where you put your hands behind yourself and you pull like that, it took me 4.5 years to get to that point. You see the yoga instructor up there and they're doing it and it looks so easy. But how long has that person been doing it and what age did they start at? That's one of the important things, is what age did they start at? Because when you're much more flexible when you're younger, and truly, this is something I know, if you're flexible, you're strong. Look at the gymnasts, look at the acrobats. They're very flexible and they're incredibly strong. Ballets and ballerinas are incredibly strong people. They're slim, but they're incredibly strong. True flexibility is strength. One thing I really, really, really encourage you to do is every day for at least 10 minutes, take some personal time. Just walk away from everything for 10 minutes. Leave the phone alone, leave the computer alone, leave the television alone, leave everybody alone. Even if it's after everybody's gone to bed, take some alone time. Even get away from the pets. Take some alone time. Walk outside and just breathe for 10 minutes. Take 20 or 30 minutes for meditation at least once a day. And no, meditation is not about making your mind go blank. It's about bringing yourself to your center and allowing what needs to come up to come up. But take time for yourself. Self-care. And meditation shows you care because you're meditating on love, in love, with love, through love, and it's spreading it through your whole system. Take time for that self-care. Use that time for self-care. And give other people in your house time for their self-care. Give other people in your house time alone. Get a hobby. Maybe it's making jigsaw puzzles. Do something to get you away from the television for a while. Do something to get you away from your phone or your computer. Do something that gets you away from what you normally do that's relaxing and that you can get into. Whether it's building model cars or airplanes or knitting or crocheting. One thing I used to love when I used to do the historical recreation was to sit and sew by hand and then go back through and do all of my decorative work. Instead of buying trim, I would embroider. I only do straight stitch, but I did some very complicated designs with varying size stitches. It can really take you out of what you're normally into. Drawing, writing, playing a musical instrument, even if you're not any good. Yet. Remember the word yet. That's the key of possibility that opens that door of probability. And if you give 10 minutes a day to a skill you want to master, that's 3,650 minutes a year. I'm not going to figure out the hours right now, but that's quite a few. Reading is important. It exercises the mind. And as far as self-care goes, reading fiction, reading stories, and not scary stories. I know a lot of people say, well, I read all the time for relaxation. I read Stephen King. I'm telling you what, Stephen King never relaxed me. I never read H.P. Lovecraft that it relaxed me. If your relaxation is being scared or being on edge, okay, maybe that's a flow state, but reading something simple and easy. Not the Harlequin romances either. You know, there's all these different kinds. Just read something simple. Something easy. Right now I'm reading, I think his name is Neil Patrick Harris's Magic Misfits. Yeah. Young teenage books. But they're pretty cool. They're well written and it gives my mind something to just kind of be easy. Just be light and simple. Relaxed. Learn something new every day. My grandfather told me, boy, and he only ever called me boy till the day I turned 18. Now, he would talk about me and use my name, but when he was talking to me, it was boy. He said, boy, learn something new every day. My father bought him an Audubon field guide to North American wildlife and plants. And when they went into his house, nobody had heard from him for a couple of days. When they went into his house, by his chair, that book was sitting open, and that book was only ever open if he was reading in it. So what he had done is he had been reading in that book, and he walked into the kitchen and he had a stroke. He was reading in that book. He was learning something new the day he died. I own that book, and I have taken that to heart ever since he told it to me when I was 8 years old. maybe even 7. And I've learned something new every day. And I'm looking forward to having my own place and getting my stuff out of storage so that I can read in that book every day. Just to say, hey, look, Granddad, here I am. Granddaddy, I'm reading out of your book. I'm learning something new every day. If you want to learn a foreign language, I use Duolingo. I've been learning Spanish. Yo estudio español todos los días con Duolingo aplicaciones de teléfono para 10 años. Y mi habilidades de conversacionales es más mejor que 10 años. Well, I don't remember the word for ago. But I'm much more fluent with Spanish than I was 10 years ago when I first started. And I spend 10, 15 minutes a day on average. Hey, LL Cool J, he said, you want to expand your mind? Learn a foreign language. So I was trying to learn Welsh, which was ancestral. I was trying to learn German, which is ancestral. I was trying to learn a little Greek, a little Latin, which are historical. And I finally said, you know what? These aren't working for me. What's the most useful language I can learn? And I looked at what is the most spoken language in the Western Hemisphere. And while English is the most used for business and other purposes, Spanish is the most spoken. In fact, it's the 3rd most spoken language in the world. I said, okay, I'll learn Spanish. Yeah, es muy disfruto. So, give love, respect, gratitude. Give those things you want to receive, and give them in the way you want to receive them. When you give a hug, impress the energy that you want to receive, and receive the energy that you're given. And if the other person is giving the energy they want to receive, and receiving your energy and giving it back to you, it becomes this cyclical thing that's incredible. And if you do it when you're kissing, man, hugging and kissing and giving the energy you want to receive, receiving the energy you're giving and giving that back while you're receiving, oh my goodness. That's better than the best cookie ever. And that is also a form of self-love, because you're giving what you want to receive, you give it out. If you give the gratitude you want to receive. I give respect. When I'm disrespected, I work to give more. I'm not perfect at these things, by the way. I'm not claiming any perfection in anything I'm talking about here, but I am working on them. And I am much better at it now than I used to be. I used to not care at all. Well, what did I care for the body? It was just something to get me around from place to place, from party to party. Smoke it, drink it, and fornicate with it. Those were my priorities. Now, those aren't my priorities. My priorities are last as long as I can to teach as many people I can how to free their heart. So let's talk for a few minutes about some principles. There's a book called The Fifth Agreement. And if you live by these 5 principles, you can't go wrong. The first one is to always do your best. No, excuse me. I'm forgetting them. The first one is to be impeccable with your word, to and about yourself and all others at all times. No, I'm not perfect with this, but I'm getting better every day, and I can tell you this, it's not just about not lying. It's about telling the truth, but it's about telling the truth in a way to be as harmless as possible. If you tell a harsh truth in a kind way, it's better than telling a kind lie. Not only that, but to be impeccable with your word, and how you are showing self-care with this is to never put yourself down. This practice of self-effacing that we have. Oh, I'm no good at that. Or, hey man, that was a great job. Oh, it was nothing. Well, yeah, it was. Thank you. That's how you do that. Hey man, you look awesome today. Thank you. Great job. Thank you. That food you made is awesome. Thank you. That's how you do that. And work on making it an internal thing too. Our self-talk is part of our self-care. I really suggest Shad Helmstedter's 365 Days of Positive Self-Talk. It's an incredible book. I've been using it for several years. It's awesome. And it's a wonderful way to be impeccable with your word to and about yourself and all others at all times. Agreement number 2. Never take anything personally, no matter what the other person's doing. See the broken-hearted child in that person and allow that broken-hearted child to have their tantrum. As long as they're not physically attacking you, who cares what they say? And who cares what they think? Who cares what their opinion is? Opinions are like anuses. Everybody has one, and they're always holding back fecal matter. So always remember to never take anything personally. And never, ever make assumptions. You can't possibly know everything that's going on in a situation. And if you assume that you do, this thing is working at 10 to 40 to 100 bits per second. The subconscious mind at 4 to 10 million bits per second. Your conscious mind assumes it knows what's going on. But that doesn't mean it does. Ask questions. Before assuming, ask a question. Never take anything personally. Ever. And it's hard. Oh, there's times when I've wanted to strangle people for the things they've said. And sometimes I still do. It's part of being human. But part of being human and part of the reason we're here is to overcome these things. And never taking anything personally. You don't know what's going on with the other person. You don't know what their inner child has gone through or is going through. And as long as they're just talking, blow it off. And the 5th agreement. Always remain skeptical. Now, people give skepticism a bad name, but this is the way it is a good thing. You do not know what you don't know. There are things out there that you don't even know exist to know about. So you don't know what you don't know. So remain skeptical. You might not be seeing what you think you're seeing. Remember the magician on stage? He makes you see what he wants you to see. Remember the hypnotist on stage? He's getting people to do things they would normally do if they were drinking. And half of the time, if you're seeing in a casino, those people that are under hypnotic suggestion are already drinking. So getting them to do things they would normally do under that circumstance is easy to do. You're not seeing what you think you're seeing. It can be a serious illusion. Another one that's very important and one that I struggle with is sleep schedule. Right now, in addition to working on Helpful Hawk Healing, I'm working 2 jobs. One of them's at night. So, what do? One of them's in the afternoon on weekends. So on the weekends, I'm doing my live on Saturday morning. I'll get a few hours sleep. I'll go in and I'll make pizzas. Then I'll come home. I'll talk to my sons. I'll change clothes. I'll go work at the gas station. Tomorrow, I'll get a little more sleep because I won't be doing a live. And then the next thing you know, hey, I'm back at the pizza place, and then I'm back at the gas station. And then I might get a kind of a normal sleep schedule till next weekend. It just depends. It just depends. I was born at 2:17 a.m. in the morning, so I've always been one who stayed up pretty much late into the night, but it doesn't mean that I can't have a normal sleep schedule. And I would love to have an absolutely straight sleep schedule. When I get up at this time, I go to bed at this time. But I know that that's not necessarily the way it works for me. So I do the best I can with what I have. But having a somewhat regular schedule, which I do, is very important. Extremely important. Avoid caffeine and energy drinks. And I'm going to tell you this from experience. When you're tired, a lot of caffeine just fakes your body out. And eventually your body says, I don't care what you're putting in me. I'm going to sleep. And those energy drinks, wow. Read up on them. Are some very dangerous things. And I was a caffeine addict for many, many years. I've got scars on my legs from Mountain Dew and the acid in it. But that'll screw with your sleep schedule quicker than anything. I had a little bit of decaf coffee at work last night, about midnight, and it has worn off. And I know it has worn off. Now then, one thing people say is, I can't say no. But I'm going to tell you, sometimes you just have to say, no, I can't do that. Or no, I won't do that. Learn to say no. My friends want to go out. No, I'm staying in. Staying in to work on a project. I'm staying in to work on a book. I'm staying in to work on my business. I'm staying in to work on me. I'm staying in because I'm tired. I'm staying in to, do some self-care. Care for yourself. Love yourself. It's important. You are important. You are enough. Learn to say no. Just because they want to go doesn't mean you have to. Now, I used to smoke a lot of pot. But I'm going to tell you now, using drugs, even certain prescription drugs, isn't healthy. Your brain makes delta-9 THC. It makes dopamine. It makes serotonin. It makes melatonin. It makes all kinds of different drugs, what we consider drugs. Using drugs, even for relaxation or recreation, can have harmful effects. And I know this for a fact. I've experienced it. My voice and my breathing are not nearly what they used to be. And I smoked a lot of marijuana, and I know that that's part of the reason. Not only that, my thinking is not what it used to be. And that's partly from smoking a lot of marijuana, partly from drinking a lot of alcohol, partly from headbanging, and partly from my combat sport, getting hit in the head. But using drugs is not self-care. You want to relax? There are much better ways. Meditation over medication. Yeah, this is me saying that. Mr. Wake and Bake and Smoke to Not Dream. I had two different kinds. One woke me up and got me working, and the other one brought me down and got me sleeping. And it was a 12-pack a day, except on the weekends when it was a 24-pack. And then they came out with the 30-pack. And I was like, finally, they're making it in my size. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm glad I changed my size to 0, because I feel so much better. I'm actually caring about me instead of running away from those feelings I didn't want to feel. I started feeling them till they no longer needed to be felt. And it's important to do that. Engage in healthy conversation. Now, how can this be self-care? Well, instead of just complaining about things, you can say, look, here's the problem I'm experiencing. I'm not sure what to do about it. And describe it. And engage in healthy conversation about it. Engage in healthy conversation about something that doesn't have to do with the problem. Engage in healthy conversation about health, about being healthy. Engage in conversation about what is mental health, what is emotional health. There is a difference. And what is physical health and what is spiritual health. Engage in conversation. Engage in social activity. These are very important activities for this social animal we inhabit. Every type of animal on this planet is social to a certain degree, and we are one of the most social out here. And by the way, when people talk about getting into nature, we're part of nature. Just so you know. Get to know people before you become intimate with them sensually or sexually. Get to know who they are. Do you really want to share energy with that person? That is self-care. No means no, don't means don't, stop means stop, I don't want to means I don't want to, and that goes both ways. That goes both ways. So get to know the person. Do you really want to share your energy with a person you don't know? Do you really want to share your energy with a person you wouldn't want to know? That's self-care. Now, yeah, she may be the most beautiful thing in the world. He may be the most handsome thing in the world, but what's it hiding? Some of the most physically attractive people I've ever known were some of the most hateful people. And now that I know the secret, they hated themselves more than anybody else. It's incredible. You know? Just because they're pretty on the outside don't mean they're pretty on the inside. And do you want to share? Do you want to share? Another thing is to love yourself like no one else can, because no one else can fill your heart up. No one else can fill your heart up. Only you can fill your heart up. The Nazarene said, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God." And then he told us where it is. The kingdom of God is within you. And all of the gurus say the same thing. It's right here in the heart. And they all say the same thing. Love yourself first. If you don't fill your cup with water, you can't give someone else a drink. If you don't fill your cup with love, you can't give someone else love. You must love yourself. You must care for yourself. And part of self-care is making sure that you let yourself know how much you love yourself every single day. Treat others as you treat yourself, and treat yourself as the part of God that you are. You are God's thought incarnate, the Creator's thought incarnate, Source's thought incarnate. You are part of the great ising its isness as you. Just as I am part of the great ising its isness as me. Do I treat myself like the part of God that I should? Not completely yet. Yet, the key of possibility that opens the door of probability, but I'm getting better at it every day. Every single day. Every single day. I work to let myself know I love myself. I am enough. I am free. And I am unshakable. You cannot take me out of my center. I am unshakable. I am free. So love yourself and treat yourself very well, and then treat everyone else at least as well as you treat yourself. And if you treat yourself at least as well as you would treat God, you can't help but treat everybody else well. But you have to care for yourself first. You have to love yourself first. If you don't, you're destroying yourself and everyone around you. And I've done it. I did it 40-something years. Forgiveness. I can't stress this enough. Letting it go. People say forgive and forget. I don't say forget, but I do say forgive. Forgive the rattlesnake its nature. Do not forget it's venomous and invite it to your campfire. Forgive the rattlesnake its nature, but don't forget it's venomous. And there are people out there who threaten my life. I won't have them around me. I love them. I respect them as human beings. I won't have them around me. Why not? I respect the rattlesnake. I don't invite it to my fire. And if you're threatening my life, well, hey, there's something wrong with you. Because I guarantee you, anytime I have ever threatened to kill a person, I meant it in the moment. I meant it thereafter. And so when you say, well, I didn't really mean it. Well, I beg to differ. Because I will never say to anyone, if you do that, I will take your life, and not mean it. So forgiveness is important, but never forget. Don't carry it around as a badge, but never forget. But forgive. And forgive and forgive and forgive and forgive. And the main person to forgive is yourself. And that's an important part of self-care. You didn't know better at the moment. So forgive yourself for not knowing better. If you live your life as a child, and I'm not talking about being childish in the way that, we talk about it in society. Oh, you're acting childish. Sometimes that's a really good thing. Go fly a kite. But if you live your life as a child with curiosity, you can forgive yourself for not knowing things. You cannot know it all. If you know it all, then you're the great is completely. And you don't have to worry about it all. But just let it go. Instead of carrying that weight. You did this to me. You did this to me. You did that to me, and I still walked on. I put it down, and I let it go. Another important aspect of self-care is gratitude. Being grateful for every moment you've had, you are using, and will have. Because you wouldn't be who you are, where you are, doing what you're doing, if it weren't for every moment that came before. The closest I come to having a regret is not seeing Rush play live. Every other moment I'm grateful for. Even though my ego tries to beat me up, hey, you didn't spend time with your sons like you could have or should have. Or hey, you didn't do this like you could have or should have. Why, you know what? You're right. But I did the best I could in the moment. Remember that you are enough. Because you are enough. Another thing about self-care that you can do is called mirror work. And you can do this every morning. You can do it in the evening too, but I suggest starting your day with it. And the mirror work is to look into the mirror, look yourself in the eyes, and you say, like I would say, Hawk, I'm proud of you for doing lives every Saturday. Hawk, I'm proud of you for loving yourself. And you do this for 7 things that you're proud of yourself for, and always use your name and look yourself in the eyes. The next part of it is, Hawk, I forgive you for not knowing better. Hawk, I forgive you for not healing sooner. And think of 7 things that you can forgive yourself for and use your name. Look yourself in the eyes. And then, Hawk, I commit to you that we're going to keep doing these Saturday lives. Hawk, I commit to you that we're going to keep doing the morning videos. Hawk, I commit to you that we're going to keep doing weekly long forms twice a week. And 7 things you commit to yourself for. And this is self-care. You're caring about yourself enough to hold yourself responsible. It's important that you do this. It's important that you care enough about yourself that you hold yourself to your commitments. I am enough. I love myself. I am free. And I am unshakable. But repeating that at the end of doing your mirror work, I am enough. I love myself. I am free. You cannot imagine how important that is to self-care, to love yourself, to realize your enoughness, to realize your freedom so that you can be unshakable. It's incredibly important, no matter what. Another thing I suggest for self-care, and one thing you could do to help yourself get over the things from the past, those heavy emotional chains of the past, is to check out my abuse recovery method here on YouTube. I'm going to be doing an expanded version that I will be releasing on Udemy and other platforms that will have many different ways of working with letting go of traumatic abuse and the heavy emotional chains attached to that. But one of the most important things you can do to let go of energy is go to it, meet it, feel it, and let it go. And my abuse recovery method does that. I appreciate you being here with me this morning, and I appreciate you listening to me. Most of all, I appreciate you caring for yourself. I appreciate you healing, and thank you for doing so. And know this, brothers and sisters, I do love you. And I always will. I am enough. I love myself. I am free. And I am unshakable. I love you too.